Greetings and salutations. It is I, Johnny, and here we are on yet another episode of the Who the Heaven Is I podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. If you would at any point like to contribute to the Who the Heaven Is I podcast with content, you can always call the Cool Line. That's T.H.E. to help everyone. Cool Line. And the phone number is 650-383 4769. Yeah, well, got numbers screwed up there for a second. Let's try this again. 650-383-7469. You can call or text that number with ideas for the show, comments, questions, suggestions, any of that good stuff. Because, here at the Why podcast, we want to make sure that you are getting everything out of it to give you the fullest of entertainment, trainment, and sustainment value. So, that being said, it is a fantabulous Tuesday here in the US of A, and we are on episode number 20. And in this episode, I'm going to pose the question, is it the thought that counts? They always say it's the thought that counts, but is it really? Today's date is 7 de Mayo. It's the 7th of May. And it's a Tuesday. And Mother's Day in the US of A is just a couple days away. I believe this year it gloriously lands on Sunday, May 12th. And, a lot of people out there looking to get gifts, do all that kind of stuff, represent for mom. Now, this is one of those things where when we were little kids in school, we would make arts and crafts for mom. And mom would love it so much. But as we become adults, it seems as the way to show mom that we love her is to buy fancy gifts and things. So my question of the day that I'll repeat later at the end of the episode is, first and foremost, how do you show someone you care, right? Is it the buying of things? I don't know, or is it not? Is it just being there for the person? Would you think your mom would more appreciate you being there, spending time with her, or you buying the most fancy of gifts and sending it to her because you knew she really wanted it, but then you can't spend time with mom? And I guess this goes beyond Mother's Day. It goes for anything. Birthdays, Christmas, Easter, just any day. What is a way to show someone you care? And is it the thought that counts? I ask this because, sometimes people, especially with the economical state the way it is, times are tough and cash is tight. So, you want to show someone you care, but you might not have extra budget in there to go all out. And so, what do you do? Back to the grade school thing, when you take the construction paper and you make those little French fry pop-up little flowers. Those were fun to make. I don't know if you've ever made them. You take construction paper and you keep folding it over so the stem, the green construction paper, looks like a French fry, like a accordion French fry, and then you put a flower on top of that. You take other colors and you put it at the tip of it, and then it's like you have a little flower that you made, and you bring it home and show mom, and she'd be like, "Oh dear, that's so sweet," and yeah, mom would appreciate it. Now, would she appreciate it, as much from a grown adult you that she did when you were 5 years old? I guess maybe that's what I'll do for my mom for Mother's Day this year. Maybe I'll make her foldable flowers and send it down to her and see what she says. That would be interesting, right? But I think sometimes we get caught up in a society as, gift buyers, super consumers, even when it means putting us into credit card debt and you know, just because we feel like we have to show that we care. Um, but I find that there's many more ways to show you care. One year, um, I wrote my mom a song. Um, yeah, it was kind of a parody song. Um, well, when I say parody, it was comedic because when I was younger, this this goes back to I guess I was in first grade, um, and there was a book at the book fair called Just for You. And I really, really wanted to get that for my mom because it was like it showed the little characters' unending love for his mother and how he wanted to find perfect the perfect way to show mom he's helping out. But for whatever reason, one reason or another, he was a little fallen short. But he had all the best intentions. I wonder if that book. I know it has to still exist. I want to say it was MC Mayer or something like that. It was these little furry creatures. Looked almost like I don't even know what kind of creatures they were. Not possums, not hedgehogs, but something of that nature. But yeah, so when I ordered that book for mom, it wasn't the book that came in. It was a different book. And I was like, what? And I was a little upset because I wanted to get my mom the other book. And so I don't know what happened. I think they ended up finally exchanging it, but it took a while. And it was almost like the book. I went to buy you this book, um, you know, and and it was an epic fail from back in the 80s, you know. And I think that I know my mom didn't take it personal, um, but yeah, Just for You was the book. Yeah, oh, it's by M. Mercer Meyer, and it's still available. I see it on the Amazon. Yeah, that's the beautiful thing about doing this podcast and having access to the internet. Um, you can see all these different things. So even the title for the book, it says Just for You, and it's you, and it's crossed out, and it says you next to it. And it's interesting because I feel like that's me in a nutshell. And, when I ordered it, I didn't get that book. I got some other Mercy Mayer book, which was fun. But at the end of the day, um, I had to get the right one. So that got fixed out. But the bottom line is, in your free time, this isn't going to be like a book club of the month type thing. It's going to be like, hey, straight up, you can check this out at your leisure, just because I thought it was fun. And I think it's a good read if you had kids to explain the importance of imperfectionism. All too often, we get caught in having to feel like we need to be perfect for the ones we love. But we're fallible creatures. We're humans. We make mistakes. And I think at the end of the day, like when we can, as the parents, the adults, show our children that, hey, it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to not be perfect. You're just being you, and if you're striving for higher and you want some support, we're there for you. You keep working at it, and you'll get to more of what you want to be. But nonetheless, you got to do what you got to do, and we appreciate you for who you are. That's the message I like to send my kids. Now, there's a difference between, imperfectionism and sometimes kids being lazy, like, oh, I forgot to do the dishes all day long. But you remember to play those video games to get those bonus points, right? So it's a delicate dance between, parenting and partnership. Because if you partner too much, then it's like, dude, come on, man, it's not that serious. But their younger years is where you build the foundation for who they grow into. Um, and, I feel that, while I've set a good foundation with my boys, with my co-parent, um, there's still some opportunity there. And that's where, conversations keep going on. But back to Mother's Day, I was explaining how a couple years ago I wrote a song for my mom. I'll read the lyrics just because maybe this will inspire you to do something for your mom for Mother's Day, or your father for Father's Day, or someone for their birthday. Um, Now, I wrote it just like the Mercer Meyer book, where it's tongue in cheek, a little bit humorous. So the song's called Mom, You Mean. um, Mom, you mean more than words could ever express. Mom, you mean more than the love I could ever profess. Mom, you mean more than all the money in all of the banks. Mom, you mean more than the love I could ever give thanks. Mom, you mean more than the breaths of all the air. Mom, you mean so much more than the time with me you spent. Mom, you mean no words or music could convey how much. Mom, you meant. And then the joke at the end was, momument.com, coming soon. As I look at it now, it's kind of interesting. Mom, you meant. Because all too often, I think, in life, we're moving so fast that, man, we don't get a chance to really appreciate the time while it still exists. But then when the funerals come and the passings come, it's kind of like, hey, oh, this person meant so much to me. But when they were still around, how did you vocalize that? How did you show that person you cared? So I'm looking at this as a different way now that I look at it before, because I thought it'd be funny, well, not funny, but cool, and kind of a little funny for me to sell monuments for people that wanted to create something for their mom for Mother's Day, and the idea would be I'd help you make a little slideshow with a song, and you make it your own type thing. And it's one of those things where it would be called a monument. But now that I look at this word, it means a different thing. And that's the way kind of life is. Sometimes you take a step back, give it some time, you go back and look at things, and you can see it from a different point of view. And this is why it's really important to not get so attached to the original idea, but B, someone's interpretation of things. Because quite possible that when I wrote this song, and I had nothing but the best of intentions for my mother, that maybe she assumed that I was like, Mom, see you later. This is what you meant, But no, it's not that at all. I appreciate all that my mother has done for me in my life. Very caring woman that showed me patience and kindness and keeping a positive mind on anything, no matter how crappy things got. She always had a smile on her face and was always, it is always, trying to keep things cool. And so that's a good thing. Now, on the counter of that, sometimes when you always find the silver lining in things, you're not really being objective to when things really are shitty. And you gotta say, hey, wait a second. As much as I'm trying to see the positive in this is flat out not cool. So it's a balance, But I think at the end of the day, radical optimism is the path that I personally would rather choose than radical negativeness or radical pessimism. I don't know if those are even words, but I progress. I progress to a point where, like we talk about on the other episode, that hey, nothing's ever granted in these realms. And so that's why I do my best to kind of live authentically and fully, and and genuinely connect with people. And sometimes I can't buy gifts and shower them with all these different fancy things. But I think for myself personally, um, I'm a very thoughtful person. But then again, it could be interpreted differently. So um, at that point, I just do what I can do with what I got. And I'd like to think that people know at this stage in the game that my intentions come from a place of love and compassion. And especially when it comes to my mama, I heart her to the moon and back, and then to wherever else we need to go. Um, but, sometimes, people get different points of views and things get disconnected, and it can be sad if you're looking at the past, but if you're looking at the future and you're trying to evolve and people don't embrace your evolution, then what's more important? Is it more important to live the life that others want for you, that they aren't waking up in your bed, they're not going walking miles in your shoes, um, or is it more important that you live the authentic life? I mean, this could be a whole other question, another episode tomorrow, so I'm not going to get to that now. I'll save that for what to do Wednesday, maybe. Maybe I'll pop that in there. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I think there's many different ways to show someone you care. And while gift buying is one of the ways, I think that has become something, over consumerism has taken the front seat to genuine connections, genuine time, and genuine thinking. So that being said, if you'd like to answer the poll question of the day and the question of the day, they are as follows. Question of the day is, how do you show someone you care? And the poll of the day is, do you think it's possible to teach an old dog new tricks? You could always find that by heading to Spotify.com, and inside the Who the Heaven Is I podcast for this episode, you'll see them. Or on the Spotify app, there's a section where it has the question of the day and the poll as well. And as always, you can call the Cool Line for responses or tips, tricks, comments, questions, suggestions at 650-383-7469. And you can always follow iJohnny on social platforms at IJOH NNI. That's at IJOH NNI. Thanks for listening, and I look forward to listening to you with your comments, questions, suggestions, and poll question answers. Have a great day. See you, hear you, talk to you soon.